This knife has a very unique sound. And that's from the vibration of the clip. Now, if I hold the clip, it has a different sound. But if I don't touch the clip, bang! Neeves Knives. I'm Jared. My lovely wife, Kara, is at work. And today we are checking out the Koert Knives Mini Sabot. It is spelled a little unique, but it's pronounced Koert Mini Sabot. And Koert Knives was originally taught by the legendary knife maker Jeremy Marsh. And they are out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. This knife was loaned to us by Ryan from Spirited Blades. Thank you, bud. We appreciate you supporting us and letting us check out some of your beautiful, amazing knives. Let's get into this. So, this Damascus you see here is Chad Nichols Boomerang Damascus. Very beautiful Damascus. And then the micarta is Crosscut Vintage Westinghouse micarta. Now, what Crosscut micarta is this would be on the Giant Mouse Ace Biblio. This is the face, or the face of this micarta is the sides of this micarta. And then the face of the Koert knife is the sides of this micarta. And you can see, if you look at the sides right here, you see the fibers. It's the same as the face of this fiber. So that's what cross-cut micarta is. It's just cut in a different direction, which is my favorite kind of micarta. It's absolutely beautiful. And I apologize for my hands. They're very tore up. I've been working and destroying them. Okay, now let's get into this knife. It is titanium liner locked. It has the back spacer, the clip thumb studs, and the pivot collar are all zirconium. And you see it has a floating back spacer. The overall length is 7 inches with a 3-inch blade. Let's do a couple size comparisons. Here's the Benchmade bug out. A lot of people know the size of this knife. It is a little bit bigger than the Koert. Here is the Giant Mouse Ace Biblio, which is a little bit smaller than the Koert. And then here is the Civivi Elementum. A lot of people know this knife. And also the Kershaw Leak. These are about the exact same size as this knife for lengthwise. And then for a custom knife, here is the CK Knife Works Misfit, which you can see is a lot bigger than the Sabot. This knife was also sent to us by Ryan. All right. Thanks again, Ryan. We appreciate you letting us check out some of your amazing knives. Now, let's really get into this one. I did sharpen it. I did not use it, but I did sharpen it. I carried it a little bit. I flipped it, and just basically hung on to it and really checked it out. We'll get into the sharpening later on, just in case if you don't want to, hear anything about that. Let's get into the actual knife itself. So, the Damascus is very nice. This is an American Tonto, a hollow ground American Tonto. Nice thick blade stock, and gets down to a good edge of about 16 to 18 thousandths behind the edge right here. And then up here at the tip, it goes about 22 to 25 thousandths right here. A little bit thicker at the very, very tip, but right here in the midsection. And then the cross-cut micarta and liners are done very well. Everything lines up very nice. The backspacer is a little bit proud, if you can see that. And it is a floating backspacer. Very nice. And well centered in there. I mean, everything's very well centered and lined up and matched up. Even the hardware, very big hardware on the pivot. I think it's like T12 or T15, but it's very big. And then T8 in the middle. And then hidden hardware that you have to get to on the inside of the knife. If you can see right there to the clip, you see the hardware, if it'll focus. Right there. It does not have weight relief on the inside. But I like that it's all big hardware, all big, nice, strong hardware. It is running on bearings. And there's the stop pin. You can see it's collared on both sides. So it's collared on the closing. And then it's collared on the opening. Very nice. Very strong lockup too. I mean, this thing is locked up like a rock. Let's get to the action. So you see it has a micro flipper tab that's very unique. So when I first got it, it was a little lazy, just a little bit. And it was kind of a unique flip, but after I oiled it, changed it night and day. So I think it was just a little dry, but it's so small that you can do a push button, but the push button is not as strong as the light switch. There's a push button. Now here's the light switch. You get a lot more power out of the light switch. Now there's also another unique way to do it. So a lot of people would just pull down and give it a little with their wrist like that. But if you grab it and you hook it, and you basically hook it kind of like a claw and give it like a flick like that, it really pops out. And it's very unique feeling. It feels good, nice, strong, authoritative thwack. Then the thumb studs, you see you have the ramp down to the zirconium thumb studs. And these are very unique because of the sound. If you don't touch the clip, you get that real vibrational acoustic. Now, if I do touch it, you get a crisp smack. Now, you can also middle finger flick it very easily. The detent is not really strong, but it's also set up for two forms of deployment. When you have two forms of deployment, you can't make a strong detent. Well, at least not too strong of a detent. It has to be reliable, both flipper tab and thumb stud. And you can get it up underneath right here, so straight up underneath. Or you can go to the side and get it right there. So, which in the reverse flick, you can do it both ways basically too. It does have a finger choil. And the flipper tab's small, so right here, it's not going to get in the way too much. Now, this is a thick knife. That's another thing. It is a thick handled knife. Not long, but thick. Let's show it against the bug out. You can see how much thicker it is than the bug out. And then here is the Civivi Elementum. Very, very thick. And some of it comes from it having a thick blade stock, but then it's also because of these big, thick titanium liners. Very thick. And the access to the lock bar, very easy to get to. And the detent is, you practically will never hit it. It's harder to hit the detent on the closing than it is to get past it because it's so early. It's literally right there. So you don't need a reverse detent ramp because you're always past it. and it doesn't have a reverse detent ramp, but it doesn't need one. So closing it's very easy. It's very smooth. It's not a fall shut action, but one little slap and it's shut. It's easy to slap shut on one shot too if you really want to, but if you just let it drop, it's pretty smooth. It's kind of a consistent shake shut where you gotta keep giving it like little shakes. Very smooth though. Now it does not have a lock bar insert, so it is titanium on steel, but it is very smooth, easy to get to, and very, very strong. I have not felt not one even hint of stick at all. It's very, very nice to unlock. Now, the finger choil / sharpening choil does work as a sharpening choil also. And the clip works very well. The clip works very well in and out of the pocket. Like I said, I didn't really use the knife, but I did carry it a little bit. I think I cut a couple pieces of paper just like to test the edge after sharpening. The ergos on it, they're thick. It's thick. Now, it's good ergos because it's thick. Like, it's kind of got that thing where, when, like, say if I tried to squeeze this, right, and I was using it, this is going to feel very dainty to me. It's going to almost hurt my hand because it's so small, because it's made for precision work. This you can definitely get a grip on because there's so much meat. But it might be just a little too much meat. And let's get into some of the bad things. So one of the bad things is I do feel like it's a little thick for the type of blade it has. I feel like this type of thickness of handle goes on like a 4-inch blade. Not length, but thickness. Now that could be just my hands. Somebody else could put this in their hand and say, no, you got it all wrong. This is amazing. That's just, preference. And I'm basing that off of how much I would do or what I would do with this blade. I'm not basing it off of my grip. I'm basing it off of what I'm going to do with the grip. So that's just me. The clip, being zirconium, it's probably going to show some wear. And then also in the hand, this little spot right here on the clip is a little sharp. Only in a certain grip though, like this grip right here. Now if I'm like this, I don't feel it, and if I'm like this, I don't feel it. But if I creep up like this in the hammer grip, I feel it, and that's just my hand. It might not be on yours, but it's a little sharp right there. Next thing, the thumb studs are slick. I wish they had a little texture. Now don't get me wrong, it's very reliable, especially once you get used to it. But I just wish, because they're so tight up against the micarta, I wish they were just a little textured. Because I kind of feel like they kind of get away from me sometimes. But you've seen how it just snapped out right there. I didn't even mean to do that. Like I was just putting pressure right here. Like it seems like it can slip away from you. But as long as you're meaning to flick it like that, then it's not a big deal. Because it'll fly out every time. But like say for slow rolling or something, like it kind of slips away from you. Like right there, again, I'm not really trying to flick it. I'm just trying to slow roll it. And I would just hold it from back here. I wouldn't hold it right here. Hold it back there, and it's very reliable. Something I'm kind of on the fence about, because it's like they're slick, and I kind of like it. But I kind of wonder, like, if they were textured, would they be improved, or would I want to switch it back? I don't know. That's hard to say. I can only imagine. And I feel like I would like it better with a little texture, but then again, the back of my head feels like, no, I like these things. These things are awesome the way they are. So, I'm kind of on the fence with that. The flipper tab, at first I was hoping, I was wishing it would be bigger. Now I'm not thinking that. I actually enjoy the way it flips. So it's just unique. And I like things that are unique on certain knives. Like I don't like holding a knife and it being just like every other knife. So I like the fact that this one's a little unique with the little micro flipper tab, and you just kind of got to give it a unique flip. Next thing, I don't think this has been used that much, but I know how to fix it. But you see this little mark right there? Maybe Ryan did it. I don't know. It came like that, but it's like taking off the etching of the of the Damascus. Now you can easily get rid of that and fix that. You just take a little Q-tip with a little bit of acid and just touch it, and then let it dry and remove it or clean it off, and it should re-etch that, I would imagine. Now I'm not, that's the way I would do it. I would try to touch it up with some Winks rust remover, some acid, if I cared about it. I really don't. Like, meaning like it doesn't, you barely see it, but I'm just saying like it is something I noticed. Now, that's basically all the bad, and I don't know if any of them are actually bad, but, it's just all the things I really noticed. I do think the blade stack is a little thick for this knife. It's, it's not a big knife. I feel like they could have went with a little bit thicker blade stock, and then it could have slimmed this down a little bit. Now let's get to the sharpening. So originally sharpening it was off from one side to the other pretty dramatically, and so I was going to even them out. So now I evened up this, if I can focus, this edge right here from one side to the other. One was very tiny and then one was big on one side. Now it's evened up. It doesn't match up perfectly when you go from the spine and look down on it, but it's very close. But it does match up looking at side to side like this, which in my opinion is going to be a little bit more important, because it seemed like when I matched it up from the spine, it didn't match up when I looked at it, if that makes sense to you. But it looks great. Next thing, you can see how beautiful this edge is. It's nice and flat. Nice and flat all the way down. Come on, focus. But then when you go to this side, it's still nice and flat all the way down. Beautiful. But then there's this one little tiny spot, and I tried to get rid of it. That was one of the reasons why I was going to sharpen it, was to get rid of it. Now, I fixed it, but, I obviously can't get rid of it. But right here, directly underneath the tip of the edge, is thicker than right there. So you see it where it kind of gets a little thicker right there and kind of ramps up just a little tiny bit. That's the grind of the knife, but it still came out great, and that's not a big deal or anything. It's just, it's a hand ground blade, so it is what it is, but it still looks nice and fantastic, nice and flat all the way down. And I put a sticky edge on the flat portion right here. So it's very sticky right here, but also glassy to the nail touch. And then I matched up the same grit, obviously, on both edges, this edge and this edge. But then I took a ceramic polishing stone and I hit this front top edge. And I only did that because, like, this edge right here, you're going to be slicing and doing push cuts with. This edge right here, you're going to be doing cuts like this, and you're going to be doing it a lot more often, most likely. I don't know what you do with your knife, but that's kind of the way I pictured it. So I figure if this edge right here takes the most damage, you want it to last, a little bit longer. So I made it, that's the way I did it. Now, I could easily take that back. If Ryan wants this really toothy right here, I can do that. That's not a problem. But I did slap it a couple times with a polishing stone just to make this a little bit slicker right here and less toothy. But this down here is very toothy. And Let's see if we can get a good zoom in on it. It looks fantastic. Maybe I'll insert a clip. The edge looks fantastic. I did do, I didn't want to go too high of a grit because this is Damascus, so I left it right around 600 grit. You know, I didn't want to go too high, being that it's Damascus. Now, this is a custom knife, and it is all hand done, so the price of it was $1,450. Now, that was an auction price. I don't know how it would be sold outright. This is Koert's, most recent release, as far as I know. So, yeah, very awesome. And I think the work is really good. I think it's all put together and finished very nicely. I mean, there's a couple things that, like, my preference, is just my preference. But, there's nothing wrong with the knife. The knife is fantastic. I think the grip on the thumb studs is something that could increase. It depends too, because there's also something satisfying about these thumb studs at the same time. So it's kind of hard to say that. I hate to be all over the place. I really do. But, sometimes you have mixed feelings about things because you like them, but you feel like they could possibly be increased if they were a little different. But you don't know, because it's not like you have it. Like, I can only imagine, like, say if I took the thumb studs off of this knife, right? And I slapped it on this knife. Would that increase the action? Probably. But maybe I would want to switch it back because I would miss the satisfying slickness of these ones. I mean, because it does have kind of a unique action where when you squeeze your finger in here, it kind of just flies, like, because it's slippery. I don't know. But there you guys go. I think this knife is pretty damn cool, and I feel blessed that I got to check it out. Thank you, Ryan. Koert Knives, you did a great job. Ryan, thank you for letting me check this out. Thank you, everybody. Love you guys. Peace.